So my name is Peter DeBenedittis, but everybody calls me Peter D. And the easy way to remember that is P for progressive and D for Democrat. Okay, so Peter D, progressive Democrat. Thank you. Now this is Tracy.
Oh,
my
hi.
sweetheart.
Just when I had my iPad open.
There you go, right. And Tracy was going to say a few words later, but I just wanted to introduce you that we're kind of a team. I'm the guy running for governor, but every decisions are always the two of us. And that's kind of how it needs to be. If we don't balance male and female energy, we're going to get what we keep getting. Yeah, you understand how that works? So I've spent the last 20 years doing youth alcohol prevention. And I've literally traveled around to almost half the high schools in the state where I've talked to kids about alcohol and media. In the last 2.5 years, I've been working on raising alcohol taxes 25 cents a drink. And the reason for that is whether you drink or not, every single one of you in this room pays $400 a year, hidden away in your gross receipts tax and in your personal income tax, to subsidize alcohol abuse, because somebody has to pay for those ambulances, car crashes, the detention, the court cases, and the Medicaid expenses. And the state spends $800 million a year on that. $800 million. Now, last I heard, they were laying off teachers. All right, but did they stop subsidizing alcohol abuse? This is a sign of how insane our legislators are right now. Now, remember they had the special session last year for the budget? Mm-hmm. You know, did they look at alcohol taxes? No, but you know what they did to help balance the budget? They slashed youth alcohol prevention funding in half in the state. Cut back on all the DWI programs. So January 1st, I woke up and I had $45,000 worth of state contracts disappear that first week of January. And so I've been thinking about running for governor, and I was talking to my beautiful fiance here, Tracy, and she says, you know what, Peter? She says, the house is paid off. I can go pick up some extra shifts doing massage, work at the hotel. You go do some good in the world. So actually, because Tracy's standing by my side, I'm able to do this. And, you know, it kind of really needs to be done. Now, it's not just like I'm some alcohol prevention guy. That's what the media is going to try to portray me as. I'm a progressive through and through. I saw firsthand with the alcohol taxes. Now, it doesn't matter if you got science on your side. It doesn't matter if you got public health on your side. It doesn't even matter if you save lives, which this was all doing. It's how's the payola working? And you guys know that that's also working for the environmental issues, for the poverty issues, and for all the other education issues that the state is facing. You guys understand that's the system that's working right now, and that's why things are so broken. Do you need me to go through the numbers list with you and how we're the worst in everything? Literally, we're in the top 3 worst unemployment, top 3 worst wages, poverty. 30% of our kids go to bed hungry every night in our state. 30% have food insecurity. I mean, it's a sin that we live in that kind of state. And I can go on with this list, but you guys understand this is kind of where we're at. And it's been tanking. And so this is kind of the reason I'm running. If we continue to vote for the same old, we're going to get the same old. Now, I've been really worried about the Democratic Party for quite some time. If you look at historically who's ever run for governor in the Democratic Party, they all talk pretty in the primary, right? You've heard it. You know, like they promise you all this great stuff. And then when they win the primary, they run to the center. And then in the general election, when they're elected, they kind of get amnesia. They actually forget what it is they're promising. Why? Because they owe millions of dollars in favors to the people who got them elected. Now the advantage is I'm a political outsider. I don't owe millions of dollars in favors. That alone should be reason to ask for your support. I call this campaign People First for a reason. It truly does put people first. It's not about paying off selfish interests. We know where that gets us. We know how everybody's talking pretty. I was just at this progressive summit in Las Cruces the other day, and It's on Saturday, and there was a business guy who'd taken tons of oil and gas money trying to tell people, I'm progressive. Everybody's progressive now because that's where the votes are. But what I say to everybody is follow the money. Follow the money, and you're going to see what's really going on. Now, there's 5 main things I really want to do here. 5 main things I really want to see, and that is get health care for all, get early childhood education statewide, have a living wage so that we can get out of this poverty cycle that we're in, have a state bank, and then have 100% renewable energy in our state. And I just want to talk for just a minute or so on each of those. Here's the deal. Under Obamacare, insurance companies get to pocket 14% of the premiums paid in for administration and profit and hiring lawyers to deny your claims. Those of you who had the claims denied know what I'm saying. All right. So imagine just having 14% more health care like that. Even if you allow 1% for administration, which Medicare nationally is at 0.6%. So let's say we only have 13%. Do you know how many hundreds of millions of dollars more health care is in our state? Instantly like that. Now, the New Mexico Health Security Act has been passed in the House of Representatives last year, and sadly it was killed in the Senate by Democrats. Okay? So you kind of see what we're up against here. Now, one of the candidates, the people who say is the favorite, the Congresswoman from Albuquerque, Congresswoman Michelle Lujan Grisham, I heard her talk at a rally, and this is not to say anything bad about her because I really like her. I think she's a fireball and I really enjoy her. I heard her talk at a rally saying, you can't trust insurance companies. We got a problem with health insurance. You can't trust them. And I'm like, this sounds promising. So I went on the House website, the U.S. House of Representatives, and I looked up House Bill 676, which is Medicare for All. And guess what? She's not a co-sponsor. 113 Democrats are sponsoring Medicare for All, and Congresswoman Lujan Grisham is not. So to me, there's some disconnect here. There's some disconnect. Oh, we hear the talk, but we're not seeing the policy. And it's really quite interesting because I meet into she's well liked among the Democratic Party. All those legislators, whenever I meet one of them, they all sit there and say, oh, well, I've already endorsed somebody. And I'm like, that's great. I'll work with you anyway when I'm governor. And I say, well, you know, Michelle's progressive. I'm like, I'm not sure you should look at House Bill 676. And then they all put their face lights up. She's not a co-sponsor? I'm like, no. And they're like, I need to go talk to her. And I'm like, seriously? You think talking to her is the solution here? But that's what I hear because they're invested in keeping the status quo and keeping power going. I had lunch with one of the state representatives today, and she's quite a nice lady. She was one of the co-sponsors for the alcohol tax bill. So she's quite a very, very, very liberal kind of lady, and she's endorsing Michelle as well. And I said, well, what do you think? And she basically says to me, you know, you got to understand how the system works. We can't do any better. Those weren't her words, those were my words, okay? But she said, you got to understand how the system works. I'm like, seriously? That's all you got? You're going to settle for this? That's why I'm running, okay? So now, we can get health care for all. We can get early childhood education. It was killed in the House of Representatives this year. Taking 1% of the interest from the Land Grant Trust Fund. We have $15.8 billion sitting there. Okay, 15.8 billion, and we're saving it for a rainy day. Even though we're the worst than anything, it's not rainy, apparently. And social capital is right out, because if we spend $1 now on early childhood education, we're going to get between $2 and $17 back down the road out of taxes and economic activity, because kids who receive early childhood education are more likely to be in healthy relationships, stable marriages, own homes, getting better jobs. These are the kinds of things we want, but this kind of social capital is not investment, okay? So we need to push for that. And part of the way to push for that is I want to actually see a state bank created for a couple of reasons. North Dakota is the only state in the union that has had a state bank. They've had it for almost 100 years, and they have never had a budget deficit. They have never had to lay off employees, because they just borrow the money from themselves when it's at low interest when they need it, And when the good times are good, they loan it out for economic development. Imagine what we did if we started doing hemp farming and small scale plants for clothing and food and paper out of hemp. Imagine when we legalize marijuana and start to capitalize that industry, which can generate $400 million in sales the first year and up to $700 million if you count the ancillary support for that. So we can capitalize small scale as well as large scale stuff. Right now, I just finished 2 books on the Bernie Madoff crisis. Very interesting. All the banks knew what was going on, but they were too busy collecting fees to do anything about it. So when Bernie finally turned himself in, they're like, we didn't know? Now these are the same we're giving our $15.8 billion to. These are the same people that busted Enron, okay, that tanked the economy with the housing crisis. They got bailed out. Remember, they got a bailout, didn't you? Did you get a bailout? Did you? Anybody get a bailout? I didn't get a bailout, okay? And this is who we're giving our money to. And they're like, this is how things are done. And this is the insanity we need to fix. And of course, a living wage. It's no brainer. People earn more then they're wealthier. States that have living wages, cities that have living wages, they're better off. And the economics of data is pretty clear. Everywhere you look, they do better than the surrounding communities. And that's because of the velocity of money. 70% of the economy is driven by consumer spending. So when consumers are spending more because they have more to spend, then all the shopkeepers do better. Okay? And then all the businesses do better. And so rather than like one of the other people running for office, the businessman I was telling you about, Jeff Apadaki, he's like, oh, we're gonna get all this investment, we're gonna bring all these companies in. And I'm like, oh my God, this is democratic trickle down. This is that same corporatist thing. And you guys know what trickles down, don't you? Okay, so it's kind of gruesome when you think about it, but that's what we're getting rained on with, okay, is that kind of trickle down stuff. We need to build it up from the bottom, and it's done through a living wage. The last thing I want to talk about is the 100% renewable energy. And New Mexico is number 2 in the nation for solar capacity, and number 12 in the nation for wind capacity. Now we're slow to the table, just like everything else. So it's already, I was reading some articles today in the trade journals about how there's overcapacity already. California's already got everything in place and is selling. It's not going to buy, it's going to sell. Okay, and we may or may not be too late to get into the Texas market. So we're really looking at markets here in our own state. I still think we can do quite nicely because if you use wind and solar, it sells for 1/3 to 1/2 less than coal and nuclear, which means that your power bills will go down. And the only reason you don't have lower power bills is because we're paying off polluters. Because that's who takes these donations and that's who's on the boards and stuff like that. So that's what's going on there. I would love to see rural electrical cooperatives formed, okay, where they're publicly owned by cities and counties and school districts and tribes, and then show up with state land and show up with state money and say, here's state land, pay us user fees so we keep generating the land grant trust fund. Here's a loan, market rate, pay us the interest so again we generate more money into the trust fund. And then all of a sudden communities have income streams. All right, everybody benefits, lower prices, and then when they need a school or they need a community center or they need some project to fix their roads or whatever, they don't need to run to the state and beg because the community has the money there. And we can do that by rural electrical cooperatives.